Hello, and welcome to AstroSagas. This week we're doing the horoscope for September 9th through the 15th, which includes a very glorious full moon in Pisces at the end of the week. So for all of us, we're going to be working towards this full moon. And the full moon in Pisces is really about releasing some of the storylines, some of the idealism, and some of the addiction to certain patterns that we have been practicing and replicating and kind of grinding our wheels on for way too long. Because with Pisces, some of our thoughts and some of our ideas can really become confused and can really pull a veil over the reality of things. And so wherever you have Pisces in the chart, and especially where you have Neptune in the chart, can be a place where you are just not at your best, where things can get ahead of you without you even realizing. It's kind of like I love to call it like the Disney movie part of the chart, because Disney movies always end really well and there's like tons of magic. And as you grow up and you become an adult, you realize that it's like super fake. But when you're a kid or like in that Pisces place, you really want to believe that dream. And believing that dream can get in the way of actually having a real life and actually coming to terms with the rules and the patterns and the game you need to play in order to make shit happen. You can kind of fall into thinking that things are just gonna happen for you if you're just in the right place because Disney, because magic, because Neptune. And so this week with the full moon in Pisces, we're gonna take a look at particularly the Pisces in every chart and how we're going to let go of that particular romantic idealism. So good luck and stay tuned. Con mucho, mucho amor. Aries. We start off this week with a really wonderful time to implement a lot of these changes that you've been inspired by. There's someone in your life who has really introduced some new ideas that have really catapulted your projects into a new place. And the beginning of this week, especially the 8th and 9th, are really good times to put this daily practice into action. So we start off the week really wonderfully inspired and moving forward, still quite into Virgo season, but by midweek, we are starting to kind of practice and put into place what we're gonna do for the full moon in Pisces, which for you is a relationship balance time. The September 14th full moon in Pisces will bring about a lot of changes in your relationships. So the beginning of this week is the time to put in work. Really restructure your daily life, because by the end of this week, you're gonna be focusing on your relationship patterns, especially the deep traumatic patterns that you're still holding from previous times where you felt really hurt and previous mistakes that you still haven't allowed yourself to move through and process and get rid of. And so this full moon in Pisces is gonna bring up for you some of the past trauma that's been going on for relationships. So if you're looking for times to really get to work, that's the beginning of this week. By the 12th, which is when we have a Mars square Jupiter, you better be on track and focusing more on the emotional life again, because the 12th will not be a good time to put in new projects. Mars square Jupiter kind of makes this energy go a little bit haywire, a little too big, and will have you signing up for projects that you actually don't have time for or overcommitting yourself. So watch out for the day. By that 12th, you want to start focusing on the inner process as we move towards the full moon in Pisces, where you work on letting go some of the past trauma from previous relationships. Good luck. I'll see you next week. Con mucho, mucho amor. Tauro. This will be a really wonderful week for you to uplift your projects and really centerfold your particular creative process. On the 12th or 13th of this week, we are gearing up to have you have a new opportunity. There's gonna be something placed before you that you can take on or not. So this could be a new project, this could be some kind of collaboration, or this could be a promotion at work or at your job. But either way, you're really looking for building on years of work that you've been doing in a particular area or in a particular career. This is the culmination point for you. This is the year where you really reap the rewards of all of this hard work that you've been putting forward. And it's not all concentrated on this one week. This is a month of a lot of changes for you in this particular career path. But I want to say that on the 12th and 13th, you might have an opportunity and you want to take it into careful consideration. Don't take the first offer that's put on the table. I would wait till after the full moon in Pisces on the 14th to make your decision on that particular project. Mars is square Jupiter on the 12th or 13th, and it just tells me that there's something more to this particular offer that isn't on the table at the get-go. So wait till after the full moon in Pisces to really bring it forward. And for the full moon in Pisces, which is on the 14th, which will be the end of this week, this will be a time when a project or some kind of thing you've done at work is really going to be noticed by someone in your life that could really help you push it forward. So pay attention to who that person is and really bridge that connection, because this is a time for you to really bring these resources together and catapult yourself into the next phase. Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor. Géminis. This is a week for you to really step into your generosity and open up the avenues for reciprocity of energy in your life. The more that you are able to give and be gracious in your ability to share your energy, your inspiration, and your information with others, the more that you're going to receive on the full moon in Pisces, which is at the end of this week on the 14th. So the whole week leading up to this, we are building on your actions from previous interactions. And so what I mean by that is that in particular, you're being asked to open yourself up, to be a little bit more intimate, to be a little bit more real, and to really allow people to come into your life that you previously were really guarded with. And so this could be someone from your past that you would like to move forward with away from that space. This could be a family member that really needs some support that you weren't so jazzed about, but when family needs support, you give it. And I'm talking about any kind of family. This doesn't necessarily mean blood. This could be chosen family. And this can also mean that someone in your home, say a housemate or partner that you live with, or a family member that lives with you, is really gonna need some kind of emotional support, where previously you were like, we're not fucking with each other. So this week is the time for you to really step into generosity. The full moon in Pisces for you is in your 10th house of career. And so looking at the dynamics that are happening this week, especially Mercury conjunct Venus on the 13th, the day before the full moon, lets me know that the more you're able to open up space and be generous in your life, the more you're gonna be able to receive from that full moon in Pisces in your glorious 10th house from that space. So really notice that the more you're able to appreciate and share your energy, the more that you're gonna get back. So clear some of those relationship patterns, allow yourself to be more generous, and see how opening up brings more in. Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor. Cáncer. So this week we are building towards the full moon in Pisces at the end of the week on September 14th, which for you is in the house of career, ambitions, adventure, and particularly the story that you tell yourself about who you are in the world and what you're capable of. So this is the big shift for you. There is a Mars square Jupiter that's happening in your 6th house of daily work and daily routines the day before. And so for me, what this says is that what you are capable of achieving right now is entirely up to you, and is entirely up to how much work you're willing to put into it and how much you really believe that you're capable of achieving the things you want to achieve. Because the thing about the 9th house is the reason that it's so intimately tied to education, travel, and career is that the 9th house is the house of narratives. It's the house of what you say about yourself, and it's the house of what you think you're capable of. And also, like by the same way, it's what you think the world is about, what you think your place within it is. And so you are literally framing your own reality, and you're framing how much you think you're capable of, and you're framing your own path. So that Mars square Jupiter in the 6th house, the day before the full moon in Pisces, there's highly chance that you will have some kind of offer put before you, some kind of new daily routine you could do, or even just a new way of doing your work. And it's up to you whether you want to take this on or not. The flexibility that is not what Cancer is known for is actually really needed on this day, because you need to flex and move and finesse some things around in your life so you can actually move forward again, because your own narrative might be what's holding you back from taking on opportunities that could really push you forward, which is what this full moon could bring for you. So focus this week on the narrative that you say about yourself, what you think you're capable of, and exactly where you're going. Because honestly, you're the driver of this particular timeline, and it's up to you to tell yourself what this path is going to be about. Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor. Leo. We're working with some ego energy this week, Leo. The full moon in Pisces is happening in your 8th house, which is the house of transformation through loss. A really wonderful astrologer told me this a few months ago when I was at the astrology conference, that the 8th house is the house where the sun, the ego, is stripped of everything that it holds dear in order to be able to step into yourself, your true self, that is not dependent on any other attachment or ego attachment. And for you, this has been a very long process of the last few years, as Neptune has been in your 8th house for the last few years. And so this to me says that there has been a lot of loss. You are currently moving through some grief, or you will very soon be moving through some grief with this full moon in Pisces, as you recognize and remember all of the pain and all of the trauma that came with losing something really dear to you. This has been a process where you have been losing a lot of the attachments. And so for a lot of us, this is just not fun. And so for you in particular, we're really stepping into your feelings this week with the full moon in Pisces. It's gonna bring back some memories of a particular loss or a couple of losses that have been happening for the last few years that have really put you in a very different space. And so the reason that we're doing this, that we're bringing you to this space, to this awareness of the pain that you're holding, is to really recognize how much your life has shifted because of these movements, because of these patterns, because of this point of intersection between what you were holding dear, what relationships really meant to you, and what has been stripped away, what you've had to deal with losing. And so in this moment, I want you to be very careful approaching this particular full moon. On the 12th or 13th, there is a Mars square Jupiter that is gonna hit your 5th house. And for me, it says a lot about how much we can fluff ourselves up when we're feeling pain, when we're feeling suffering, or when we're feeling really vulnerable. And especially for you, Leo, sometimes you lean into just wanting to be like, I'm fine, I'm not feeling anything, and really feel like you want to guard and push everybody away with like your big bravado. And this would be not the time to do it. Especially with Mars square Jupiter, there's a chance that you could even run a little bit more on the like aggressive kind of interactions where you're really trying to be defensive or really trying to prove something in order to get away from this grief that's happening in the back corner. You know, sometimes we like to hide things in the back so that we don't have to feel them. So I would highly suggest this week to be really present with your emotional state, especially as we move closer to Saturday, the 14th, when that full moon is really big, bright in the sky, and is really gonna bring for you some deep emotional work. So go ahead and feel it and really recognize that grief is its own really important process in our life that moves us into a new space where we actualize different parts of ourselves that weren't there before, because we feel this pain and we recognize that this pain unites all of us together. Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor. Virgo. Happy birthday, Virgo. Some of you guys will still be enjoying your birthday season this week, and we are almost finishing up into Libra. So for the rest of you that are having birthdays this week or next week, this is the time to really set your intentions for the new year. When you have a birthday, we call that a solar return. And so that means the sun returns to the same place it was when you were born. And so this is your new year according to astrology. And so for us Virgos, we have had Neptune in the 7th house for the last few years, and this Pisces full moon, which is happening on the 14th, will be activating that particular archetype. And so Neptune in the 7th house for you means a lot of idealism and romanticism in relationships, and a lot of collapse and failure with those connections because of that idealism. Because even though Neptune really infuses your mind and infuses the way that you see things with rose-colored glasses, and you want to see like the most perfect version of people, and you want to have the most ideal connection, the truth is that Neptune doesn't really belong in this world. And even though you, Virgo, are basically very earthy and very realistic, this can be one spot where you have had a really big blind spot, which is the relationship sector. And so this doesn't necessarily mean romantic, although a lot of times it does. It could also be people that you live with, and it could also be enemies, literally people that you don't get along with, because the 7th house is the house of the people that really have a deep impact with you emotionally and really intensely. And so that could be people that you love and people that you really don't love. Both of those can have really damaging effects this week. And so for this week, we are working on clearing your home space. There's a Mars square Jupiter the day before the full moon on the 13th. And this is a really good time for you to clear your home space and clear your home space, your heart space, from some of those grudges, some of those really nasty ideas, and some of that negativity around certain connections that have been really impactful, but maybe not so healthy. This is the time to really clear it. And then with this full moon that's coming up at the end of the week, you set your intention for the kind of relationship that you want to have without taking away that veil of romanticism, idealism, and trying to dream up the perfect connection. Instead, be more realistic. Center your actual needs, your real availability, the amount of energy and attention you're actually able to give a relationship, and then keep that in mind with you and your intention with this full moon in Pisces, which will be in your 7th house. And so again, for this week, we are clearing out a lot of that negativity, the grudges, the kind of persistent feelings of negativity that you have around certain people in your life, and inviting new types of connections that are much more supportive and much more grounding, given into account your availability and your time. Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor. Libra. This will be a bit of a tricky week for you, Libra, so listen close. On Monday, the 9th, you might have some kind of problem at home. There might be a situation that arises that needs to be diffused as soon as possible. You may even need to renegotiate a lease or renegotiate the space around your home. There seems to be some kind of problem there, maybe with a housemate or maybe with the person who controls your housing situation. Either way, there is a little bit of a shakeup with your stability and with your grounding this week, so take care to be really calm when any situation arises, especially if it's on the 9th. After the 9th, we're going to do a little bit more sidestepping as we have a Mars square Jupiter, which for you, Mars has been transiting your 12th house. And so Mars in the 12th house tends to have you stepping on other people's toes and saying things that you don't mean and getting into conflicts with people without really realizing that you're in one. Mars in the 12th house is the unconscious processing. It's the part of your chart where you're like not aware of what's happening. It's almost like the left hand's not sure what the right hand is doing. This is the 12th house. And so when Mars is in the 12th house, even if you're trying to be the nice guy, even if you're trying to be super cool and play it really chill, you might still get into some kind of problems with people who can see or really discern or feel what you really think and what you really feel about a situation, even if you're trying to play it cool. And so Mars in the 12th house can cause a lot of problems. And so this is gonna be on the 13th, that particular Mars that has been bringing some conflicts that you were not intending to participate in, but that somehow just arose around you. That Mars is going to get an influx of energy from Jupiter in your 3rd house. So the 3rd house, again, is the house of communication. So on this day, I would be really careful about what I have to say. And if you don't have anything nice to say, just don't say it. Just be really chill and try not to get into any verbal kind of conflicts or defending yourself or getting into any kind of thing like that on the 13th in particular. It might cause a much larger problem than you really want to have your hands on right now. That day is the day before the full moon in Pisces. This full moon in Pisces is bringing about this proper balance for you in your life. There are some things that you have lost. There are maybe some jobs that haven't worked out, or maybe you haven't gotten the contract you wanted to get, or negotiations at work didn't go the way that you wanted them to. And this Virgo, this like full moon in Pisces, which for you is happening in the 6th house, which has a Virgo tendency, is bringing about this proper balance for you. Because I want you to know that even if things don't work out, even if, especially with this Mars in the 12th house, you've had some issues trying to get the projects that you want going, this is okay. Like, this is not defeat. You've not lost, and you are still absolutely with the green light to go forward. You just have to realize that when things don't work out, they're not meant for you. And maybe in the long run, you'll look back at this moment and realize that some of the stuff that fell away in the last few weeks was like meant to be, was on purpose, because what is meant to be yours will come into your life, and what is not meant to be yours will fall away in order to make space. So this full moon in Pisces for you is about proper perspective. Keep that in mind this week as you move forward with some of the challenging energy at the beginning. Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor. Scorpio. For you, this week is about centering your skills within a group, really focusing on collaboration between others and seeing that your connections to others and your ability to build intimacy with others is really a source of strength and a source of new resources for you. So this week, especially on the 12th to the 13th, you're gonna have the opportunity to really build a great collaboration, a really great new project with either one person or even more ideally with a group of people that you can really build with together. This could be a new application of a skill that you've already been practicing but that you didn't realize you could really bring to a group setting in a new way. And the only thing that you need in order to make this happen is an open mind and a little bit of trust. Because I know that this isn't the easiest thing for you, Scorpio, but this month is really about learning that trusting others and trusting the process of group containment and of group growth can really help you, in particular this month, pull off some of these bigger projects that you've been working on. You need other people to help you uplift this particular time period of your life. So the full moon in Pisces is happening on the 5th, is happening in the 5th house of your chart. And so for me, this is about you stripping away some of the ego related to your work. You have to realize that even though you are super talented, super amazing, and super unique, so is everybody else in your life. Everybody else in your life is also on their own train, developing their own skills and figuring it out. And so instead of defining yourself by comparing yourself to others, you want to define yourself by your ability to be gracious and share your interests, share your inspiration, and share your energy with others. By building a group collaborative process, you're able to build up and bring forward a new version of this longer project you're working on. So good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor. Sagittario. This is a really wonderful week for you, Sagittario, so pay attention. You really want to build up your family, your connections to kin, and really the chosen family that you bring into your life as a support system. You want a lot of emotional connection this week, and that's because the full moon in Pisces is in your 4th house, which is a focus on the home environment and on the family connections that you have had your whole life, or enough of your adult life to really make a big difference. I, of course, use family really loosely. It could be blood family or it could be chosen family. And so these are people that really give you a lot of support and a lot of care when you really need it. And you're really gonna need it this week, Sagittario, because you have been through a lot of changes in the last year with Jupiter sitting in your 1st house. Even though Jupiter is your ruling planet, Jupiter in the 1st house is a really big push to grow. And so when we're growing and we're changing and we're shifting, a lot of those changes and shifts can feel really traumatic, really dramatic, and really drastic, and can put you in a completely new place that you were not ready for. But some of the people that can make you feel more ready and more secure as all these changes are happening are your family, are the connections that you're building that are really intimate, are the people who can really see who you are and can really let you know through this entire difficult process that you're on the right track. And so you're gonna know you're on the right track this week because Mars is having a really wonderful square to Jupiter, which for you is a connection between the 10th house and the 1st house. And so that spells really big blossoming of energy for you, especially in the career sector or especially in the vocational sector, the kind of person that you want to be and the kind of person you want to grow into. That's what's really focused in this chart for this week. And so I am highly suggesting to you that you incorporate your intimate connections, your family support systems, and how you feel at home and how you feel grounded and really secure enough to be able to open up as part of that image. I feel like with the 10th house and with big growths in career, a lot of times we just look for the way that we make money or the professional line of work. But honestly, for you, this is much more tied to the whole picture, the holistic growth that you're going through right now. And so remember to center your family, center your kin, and center the chosen people in your life through this process this week. Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor. Capricornio, this is a really wonderful week for you to center your emotional and spiritual practice in your work. You are having a chance to bridge your emotional life with your professional life, and I suggest you take it. This is a really good opportunity for you to recognize that how you treat yourself and how you grow within really allows you to make more space and more material gains without. So what you want to do this week, especially on the 9th, is really pay attention to what inspires you. This should be something that's really connected to your personal motivation or your emotional process. This could be a time where you're even looking for some new line of way to really develop yourself. This could be looking for a new therapist. This could be looking for a new spiritual practice or physical practice. It's really going to help you move through some of the emotional journeys that you're on. And really, this is about recognizing that connection between the two. The full moon in Pisces is going to happen in your 3rd house. And so this is about you taking responsibility for the environment that you create around you. You've got to recognize that your amount of self-critique, your amount of diligence at being really hard on yourself in order to push yourself forward is no longer giving you the kind of outcomes that you want. You have got to take responsibility for the environment that you're making for yourself internally and externally. And so recognize that by treating yourself better and by recognizing just how much you've grown in the last few years, if you look back at this last year, you'll realize how many large steps you've taken towards a new path for yourself, and yet somehow you still manage to critique yourself in the process. You're not happy with the giant amount of work that you've done. But guess what? I'm here to let you know that you are perfectly in a great place, and you don't need to criticize yourself. You need to learn how to let it go and learn to appreciate yourself, because the environment that you create around you is the environment that you share with others. So if you're really hard on yourself, it's gonna be really hard to be kind to the people around you when they make mistakes. Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor. Aquario. This is a week for you to be very careful with your resources, and that includes money, energy, and time. You are deeply in a relationship process right now. You're either actually in a romantic relationship that is asking a lot of you, or there are friends in your life that need a lot of support and a lot of care from you right now, more than you might be available for. You could even be asked to share resources or share your time with someone that you're committed to in a way that feels a little bit more than you're actually willing to give right now. If this is happening for you, take a break. Tell them you have to deliberate, you have to take some time for yourself, and wait until the 13th to have any important conversations that need to be had around boundaries in relationships. On the 13th, Mercury is conjunct Venus, which gives any communications you're having much more grace and much more empathy than you've been experiencing recently in some of these more processy or dramatic kind of conversations that have been going on around commitment and loyalty. So wait until the 13th to deliberate some of these choices if you're being asked to give more than you can right now, which, but looking at your chart, I think might be happening. If that's happening for you, wait until the 13th, smooth out that conversation, and then we're gonna move into the 14th, that full moon in Pisces, really looking at your resources. The Pisces moon falls in your 2nd house, which is the house of your particular time, your particular energy, and sometimes your money. And so if you have been caught up in a lot of different romantic relationships or partnerships or friendships, or you've been collaborating with partners and you've been going on a lot of projects and going on a lot of trips, you may have not paid attention to your resources. This full moon will be a really big wake-up call for you as to how much money you're actually holding on to right now. If you've been spending out more money than you're actually bringing in, now will be the time to fix that. Now will be the time to find some balance. And so for this Pisces full moon, I want you to pay attention to what you're doing with your time, your energy, and especially your money. If you've been pushing it out or giving it away or frivolously spending it in ways that you don't necessarily want to anymore, this is the full moon to make some intentions on how to shift that. Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor. Pisces. This Pisces full moon, of course, lands in your first house at the end of the week. So the run up to the end of the week will be you refocusing your energy on yourself and figuring out what relationship patterns you want to let go of. Virgo season is for you a focus on the 7th house, which is the house of partnership. Pretty much romantic, can also be collaborative, and sometimes even openly antagonistic. But either way, you've got to look at how other people in your life define for you the amount of energy and space that you have for yourself. The amount of time that you spend worrying about other people's time, about what they think about you, and about how much support you actually have for your projects is less time that you're able to dedicate to yourself. And so this is the time for you to recognize how much you worry about other people in your life and about what they think of you, what they think of your projects, and what they think of your work. This is the time to really let it go, because you've had a big emphasis with partnerships and with relationships for the whole first half of this month. So we've been dealing with a lot of the anxieties, the worries, and the dependency on other people. And with this Pisces full moon, it's the time to let go of some of that anxiety, some of that worry around what those others think and how you're going to change their minds. Recognize that not everyone's gonna like you, and that's okay. You don't need everybody's approval, and you can definitely move forward with your particular work here in this life without them. So instead of trying to fix every single problem this week and trying to address every single issue that comes up, especially around the 12th, if you have some particular conflict that comes up that day with a partner, like a romantic partner, I would say to take it really easily, take it really slow, and try not to address it till after this full moon. Because during this full moon, because it's in your first house, you're gonna feel really empowered, really energetic, and really able to push some of that stuff outside so that you can really move forward. And so if someone gets in your way on the day before, you might treat them with a lot less empathy and a lot less care than you will later on next week when you are much more chill. So keep it tight, focus on what you want to push forward, let the other stuff go, and wait for any conversations that need to be had that feel important till next week. Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor.